Hi everyone, it's Shelle from Shell Crochet. Welcome to my March update. Hi everyone, welcome back. It's Shelle. How are you today? Welcome to Shell Crochet. I'd just like to take a moment to welcome anybody who's new to our wonderful crochet community and thank everyone who's returning to watch my monthly update today.
Hey everyone, just thought I'd give you a little glimpse of what I'm up to today. Starting bag number 2 of my tangled yarn balls. So there's some of the blue, there's the rest of the Aran, and then I have all this pink, and this is what I've done so far today. And yeah, the colors are getting all messed up because of the pink bag, I think. And I'm just about to start a new blanket. So I got Mikey on my screen because I've never done this before. It's the Modern Granny. And I am starting it with that Skinny Cake and that Endless Impeccable. So later in the video today, you'll see how far I made it. Today is Thursday, March the 18th, and I'm probably going to be recording this in about 2 weeks. So we'll see how far I made it.
As you just saw, I have started another blanket and I have finished 2/3 of my ball winding of all that yarn I got from Cambridge Fibers in those tangled bags. So why don't we take a look at how they look in person. Here is bag number 1 that is filled with the balls that I have wound up myself, and I can barely lift it comfortably. And there she is, all full. And here is bag number 2. Much easier to manage, but still rather full. And there they all are in there without dumping them all over the floor. And of course, I'll be popping up some pictures as we go here. So the only thing I have left to do is the black, and that was pretty much between 2/3 and 3/4 of the first bag I got. And yeah, so I've decided I would like to try and do that outside so that I can really sort of see the difference in the colors of black, because you know how sometimes when you put two things that are black on together, they don't look the same. Anyway, I just thought it might be easier to separate the yarn out that way, and that'll happen when it happens. But so far so good, and I am going to try to weigh it once all the balls are done so that I get a good idea of the quantity in terms of, so I bought 10 kilograms of yarn for $25, and how much of that yarn was salvageable, because obviously some of it is broken or cut from the machine process, things like that, and then some of it's tangled beyond recognition, but for the most part it wasn't too difficult to deal with. And yeah, so I'd like to know how much of the 10 kilograms I actually end up with in the end, and I will let you know when I know. So the other thing I mentioned in that little video was that I started a new blanket. It is the Modern Rectangle Granny Blanket, and I am just past, I'm gonna disappear on you, but I'm just past my first full Skinny Cake, and here's how it's looking so far. Really happy with it. So it is Caron Skinny Cake with Endless Impeccable, and the colorways will be in the description box of this video. And yeah, so for sure another one, but probably the other I had put 3 aside for this of the Skinny Cakes, but how I'm going to decide is whichever ends first. So the Endless Impeccable is still probably more than half. So let me see if I can quickly tell you. Oh good, it's nice and big. The Endless Impeccable is 1,790 yards. And I think, like I said, there's more than half to go on that still. So if that finishes first, or if I'm out of my 3 Skinny Cakes, that'll be the size of the blanket. So really happy with that so far. So in case you had missed my mid-month update, a few things that were on the go at the time that I talked about. The cake pop blanket from last year came back to me for a super extra border. So I'll pop up a picture here of my girlfriend having it back at home with her doggies on it and an extra 5 inches all the way around on that blanket. So now it's fitting her king size bed nicely with a little extra drape around the edges. And then I was working on some bath mats, and I had only one completed in the middle of the month, and now they're all done. So these are pretty much as identical as you can get. And here's number 1. Here's number 2. And here is number 3. And these are quadruple, so 2 velvet, 1 regular acrylic, which in this case happens to be a Tencel yarn, worsted, and then 1 regular cotton, which is Handicrafter cotton. And if you want to know the specifics, the information is in the video of the previous to this one. So when I first got those skinny cakes home from Michael's in the middle of the month, I really wanted to start working with them. So what I ended up trying is one of my Make 9s, which is Jayda InStitches Vintage Lace Shawl. And I decided not to complete it as a full shawl, but I made it as a head bandana instead. And here she is. Not blocked, as you can see, but it will relax as soon as it spends a little time in the dryer. But it also doesn't matter for how I'm wearing it. So let me just pop it on for you. Ta-da! So there it is. Perfect. Like, there's just a little button at the back, and obviously you can use more than one place because there's tons of stitches the button would go into, but I did create a little place for the button. I enjoyed this pattern. I just didn't think I would want it as a shawl, and I had no plans to make shawls for anybody that I needed to gift anything to right now. So I just cut it a little bit short. I was extremely happy how well the trebles were going for me. Generally, trebles and I don't get along, but yeah, no problem here. The tension was good, and I don't know if maybe doing the autumn moon wrap last year helped me with that, but whatever the case may be, this is checked off my list. So this one I had shown you mid-month. So this is the Granny, Virus Meets Granny. And again, it's also a headscarf. And then I just did a traditional granny with a nice open shell border. So a couple lace rows there with some shells around the edge. And that's how that one's looking on. It's really neat how the colors worked up. Some of them have only certain parts of the cake in them, so it was interesting to see with the different size stitches. And then finally, I had a bit left over, so I used it to do corner to corner and just a triangle scarf, cowly triangle scarf. Perfecto. So that is one full cake of a Caron skinny cake, and the colorway is Turkish Delight. And yeah, and I was having a little trouble with Crochet, so I felt like those smaller projects, or just stopping where I felt like for the first shawl, first 2 shawls actually, because neither one of them were speaking to me as shawls, really helped with that, and kind of got me back on track, as did the modern granny. And okay, what else did I do? I have very little roving yarn, and I'm kind of interested in getting it out of my stash. It's not my cup of tea. So I had 2 skeins left of the loops and threads version that I'm pretty sure was discontinued in 2019, maybe even 2018. I think 2019 though. So hat first. So this is the hat. So this is a spiral beanie, double crochet, ended at a certain point to put post stitches for the brim, nice and loose for me to be able to wear it. And it looks lovely in this yarn, so this would be maybe potentially a gift set for somebody. And what I did with the scarf is I tried making one of those scarves asymmetrical, where you go as big as you want but then you come back down, and I'd never done that before, and I didn't look at a tutorial or anything, and I should have, but it still worked out. Sort of, right? So there's my first skinny end with a loop on the end, and it goes to the middle, and then it goes to the other skinny end, and I have a button on the end. So it can be worn a variety of ways. It's rather warm in here right now, so I'll just do a quick and dirty for you. And it can be buttoned up. But it, you know, it's a bit of a lesson. I just think I need to actually spend some time going through an actual tutorial on this so I know exactly what I'm supposed to be doing. But overall, I think this was an awesome use of this yarn, and someone will probably be very happy to have that. Okay, so for March's 2 cals that I'm involved in, Seta from Seta's Place is doing the cowl cal, 21 calendar cowl cal, but I'm not doing the cowls. I'm using the colors from the calendar, pop up a picture here, to do my Mighty Mile a Minute strips for Jayda's Mighty Mile a Minute calendar blanket for this year. So here is the finished product. This is January, February, and March, but March is that last color there on the opposite side of the pink to the blue. And this one was in a grab bag, so I don't know what yarn it is, but it feels very much like Premier Anti-Pilling, and it's quite the interesting colorway. So you have the really dark up there to that claret color to like the very lighter red orangey colors to like salmony coral, and then all the way back to black and some of those darker colors again. So that was a really cool, that is a yarn I would love to be able to buy, but I haven't ever seen it, so who knows what it actually was. But March is done for that, and April's right around the corner, so I'll be able to do my April strip really soon. Also, just a shout out to my friend Tris at Comfy Cozy Crochet with Tris for sending me the pictures for Seta's calendar so that I know I can kind of plan out from my stash what colors I have here to be able to use for my Mighty Mile a Minute strips. So thanks, Tris. All right, should we talk about the elephant in the room? Here is another shrug I made. This one is for myself, and it is made from Ice Yarns, Cactus Tropical, which is long discontinued. I actually did a search just last week to make sure I couldn't even get it to pull up, and it won't pull up at all. You're not really missing anything. You may have heard Debbie talk about this yarn last year when she was making a bunch of Seta's tops. And I had gifted her that pack of yarn. The colors were great. Well, I had it in this army green color, and I was interested in having this to add to my wardrobe. So I'm gonna post video as we're talking here of me doing a little bit of modeling. I was gonna wear it, but it's actually like 16 degrees here today. I have the window open, so if you're hearing any background noise at all, you're hearing that from my window being open. I can hear the birds, so you probably can too. But anyway, it's very interesting. So it was the 2-panel make. So I just sort of picked a stitch pattern that I wanted to do, which was basically alternating double crochets with lace rows. I threw in some cross double crochet rows and back to double crochets. And for the middle back, can you see what I'm pointing at? You can, good. For the middle back, rather than just doing 2 full panels and then sewing them up, what I do is I stop and I do a little section that would represent the back of my neck. And in this case, it was just sections of the lace rows with the double crochets in between. And then when it's time to come down the other panel, when I get to the top, I just start to do foundation double crochets all the way down the front side so that I don't have to do the whole sewing part. And also because for me, rather than having 2 identical pieces, it always makes sense to have an extra section in the back. A good reference for this, for someone who's actually really good at tutorials talking about it, is from Crystal Bagaudet when she did the vest that I actually made in January. So I'll pop up the tutorial number and the name of the vest. I think it's called Easy Vest Duster, and she made it fairly long. And so I had made one in navy blue in January, and she's talking about how you can do that back section. But I've been doing my tops and these types of makes this way for a while. The first time I tried it was last summer when I made my cotton Handicrafter cotton stripey top, and I'll pop up a picture of that top here. And it just dawned on me that if I just continued over with foundation double crochets, I wouldn't have to sew it in, right? So that's when I learned that part. And from Crystal, I learned to leave the gap here in the middle and be able to have that extra section. Also, when I do my measurements personally, it's not going to be cut in half, right? So I always allow for a part to go over my shoulder and then down the front, because if you were to just cut it in half, I find the front always pops up a little bit too much, because you need to allow for that, and it really depends on your body and your shape and all that, which is why I like these style of makes. First of all, I enjoy vertical striping more than horizontal striping, even in stitches. And I also really appreciate the fact that you can really customize it to your body very easily. So it was very interesting. It's much more like a jacket than something nice and light that I could throw over a tank top in the summer, which is kind of what I wanted it for. But I'm looking forward to washing it and drying it in the dryer, because Debbie did mention in her video that it really softened up. It is the strangest feeling acrylic yarn I've ever touched. It does feel almost worse than kitchen cotton. And it's so strange, because sometimes you'll grab it and you'll think, oh, it's kind of soft, but it has this outside feel that is just, I don't know, strange and almost twiny. But it's very stretchy, so I figured that will come in handy, and hopefully some of these stitches will open up even more once it's washed and dried a few times, and just, you know, I've worn it a bit, so that they'll be even more open. So I had 2 packs of this, so that's 800 grams of yarn, and I do have yarn left over. So it wasn't quite the 800 grams, and this is a thin yarn. So this is a 3 at best, and I was using a 6mm hook for this. So that was one of my bigger makes for March, and I'm glad to have that off the hook. So I like to keep myself honest as we're getting to the end of the first quarter of the year. I can't even believe that already. And I still do have my diamond granny blanket that's just there for me for whenever I want something simple to work on. But all my colored squares are now officially done. So I got 10 more colored squares done in the month of March. And basically what I have to do now is go through all of my squares and see how I plot out my numbers and what I'm going to actually be able to do in terms of the sizes. I have quite a few squares, so I'm not going to give you a number now, because I'll go ahead and I'll count it and I'll talk about it in my next video. But this is what I have left. So my 6 nilly was still in the bag. This lovely bag I got from Crystal from Ricola's Crochet Corner. So here we go. Here's an example. So I didn't make it to the 6 row that I need for this, and I don't have any more of this color. So that one didn't make the cut. And then I have this ball that might be enough for 1 square, and everything else in here is kind of tiny, but there are some colors that might go together enough to make it work. So we'll have to see. For a second there I thought I spotted more of that teal, but I don't have any. So yeah, so it's possible I might be able to get another square or 2 if I need it to make the pattern work in terms of the blanket itself, but we'll have to wait and see. And again, this is a no stress project. I actually had grabbed my grannies because my Crojo had gone for a walk and didn't come back for a while. And usually grannies, C2C, things like that help with that. But I ended up not getting to work on it because I started that instead. So it worked out. And I just got those 10 done throughout the month whenever, right? And I'll pop up a picture here of the diamond granny blanket that I made last year that had walked out the door. So I'm just making another one for me. And I had said in January, I started off the year using a yarn I love, and I'm a big fan of Caron Big Cakes. And I am trimming them all with charcoal, which is a Bernat cozy style yarn. Okay, I got 2 more things to show you. We are up to 4 make 9s completed. Here is the Granny Bottom Bag by Bob Wilson 123. And this yarn was gifted to me by my friend Debbie, the Canadian crocheter. Thank you, Debbie. This is Red Heart Scrubby Smoothie in the colorway Neapolitan. And doesn't that look awesome? And what I put in here right now so you guys could see how big the bag is I just stuck my Daphne blanket in it. And there's still tons of room and it feels great. So great pattern, easy to do. I don't really think I figured out the straps exactly the way she did because I could never seem to get mine to go all the way around the bag with single crochet. But it's no big deal. You can just fill in the gap with the extra single crochets you need for your border. And yeah, I'll definitely be making another one of these. I'll actually pop up a picture here of a fail. I had another skein of cotton I was really interested in using for a bag, but I decided I wasn't liking how it was turning out. So that got frogged and will become something else one day. And my last 2 makes have been hanging out with us the whole podcast. As you all know, Rel from the Dabbling Hook is doing the hashtag Octo Party Cal. And this is my first Octo. And you guys know I don't do amigurumi. But he worked out just fine. He's cute. Don't pay too much attention to the lack of embroidery skills. But it was fun. And it actually helped with my crojo too, because this part was super easy. Of course, I struggled a bit with this part because it was my first time trying. But whatever. And he's got a little friend. Couldn't resist trying it in velvet because I had that velvet out still from doing the bath mats. So we have a little and a bigger. Still haven't decided on their names. I kept trying to name them, but we haven't come up with anything yet. Anyway, so hashtag Octo Party Cal ends I think at the end of the month. So if you want to make one, do it today because this video is out on March 31st. And thanks, Rel, that was real fun. I went back to your original tutorial and it was perfect to guide me through the process. Oh, and somehow I ended up buying a pack of safety eyes that had noses too. I don't do amigurumi, remember? Anyway, couldn't resist those on Amazon. So we'll see what else might pop up. But yeah, like I said before, it did help with my crojo just a little bit. So that's a win, right? Another thing I'll just talk about in terms of a make was a bunch of scrunchies. And I know I make them all the time and I've let you guys know that. But in this case, I was trying them in different shapes and sizes and getting all of the ones I already had made plus a bunch more out to our friend Rose at Rose Likes Crochet for wings for the April donations for wings. And I will put a video link in the description box of this video if by some chance you don't know what I'm talking about. I'm sure you do though, so that you can connect directly and hear all about wings from Rose. So because of that, I literally didn't have any scrunchies left, and so I have been making a whole bunch more. So I'll just pop up a picture here of what I have done, and I am enjoying making them all different shapes and sizes, the traditional way that I actually learned from Jayda InStitches, of course, with the big curvy ones. But lately I've really been enjoying just doing the single crochet round around the hair tie and then doing the lemon peel stitch. So double, single, double, single, double, single. And so those are some of my favorites that I've been making lately. And lastly, there was one more yarn acquisition in March, and basically I just caved. The cotton cakes went down to $7.99, which is $4 off per cake because they're $11.99 here in Canada, but it's not great for me. I prefer $4.99. But anyway, last year I wasn't able to get any because by the time clearance rolled around, they were out. And so this year I actually did stock up a little bit. I'll pop up a few pictures here. I have 4 ripple cakes in 2 and 2, 2 in one colorway and 2 in another. I have 3 of this year's cotton cakes and I have 3 of this year's angel cakes. Unfortunately, the angel cakes, it's 2 in one color and 1 by itself, but the one by itself is gray, so it will go with a lot of things. And they are staring at me over there so that I don't forget about them, but it gives me some extra summer stuff to be able to use. So I am on another yarn hiatus, so there will be no yarn purchases, no acquisitions for me for April, May, June, and July. And then August is my birthday month, so I can't have it continue past July. So I told my husband that if I actually made it through April, May, June, and July, that he should surprise me with some yarn to kick off my birthday month in August. So hopefully we'll talk a little bit more about that. And then maybe there'll actually be an opportunity to go to Listowel for Spin Right's 10th sale this August. Fingers crossed that might actually happen this year, and we will go from there. So ending off the podcast talking about yarn, who doesn't love that? And in terms of what my plans are for April, I will be continuing with the 2 cals. And so my Mighty Mile a Minute strip will probably be on my hook as soon as I get the yarn figured out and I find out what the strip is going to be. And then I will finish that modern granny blanket. And I don't really have any have-to projects for April. I know I'm going to need another bath mat made by May 1st. So yeah, I guess that's going to happen in April then, isn't it? My friend her trailer will open in May, so I will get that to her. But yeah, I don't really have any have-to projects for April, so that's kind of interesting, so we'll just be able to see what I feel like making. Anyway, I'm not going to keep you guys any longer. Thanks for spending this time with me. I really appreciate you being here, and have a great day and happy crochet. Bye!